Okay, welcome back. It's Nirmal and Jules and Ola again. And we did the bottom five. Now we're going to go in from the top five of the bottom five of the bottom half. So it just makes it sound better.
Yes.
So we'll do next club is obviously my club, unfortunately, Everton.
Yes.
Although in the last two games they've been quite good. So where do we think? Well, we've actually been quite good in most of our games, apart from against Villa. But against even Villa, we actually played quite well at the beginning. But we didn't take chances, and then we let them score, and then they were ruthless.
Yeah.
And then I think we dropped down a bit. The confidence dropped a bit, and that didn't help. And then the first few games against Fulham, against Sheffield United, I think against Wolves, we should have picked up more points. I mean, our XG, our shots and everything, if you looked at it from last season and the season before to now, it's completely different. You know, people are going on about, I think you can say many things, and Deitch is known as like a defensive manager. But I think if you give him the tools, I think there's a fair bit more about him. Whether you like him or not, that's different. And different people, you know, say lots of things. But Fulham, we should have won. I think it will pull up the stats, isn't it? Let me just see. So we had 19 shots and 9 shots on target. They had 9 and 2, right? And we've lost 1-0. And basically they had 2 chances, I think. They scored with the first chance they got. And then thingy. So realistically, I think that's like a false thing. And I think our XG was like 3, nearly 2.95 or 2.96. Villa away, I think we collapsed a bit. But let me just bring it up.
The 4-0. That was a bit of a...
Yeah, they let him score with all the chances, but they only had about 4 chances and they were ruthless.
Yeah.
So that one. Wolves, we should have done better. We were, again, 15 shots, 7 on target. Today at 11 and 2. Obviously, once you give a team a goal, they have more, but I think they scored with like the first one pretty much, or a few chances. So again, I think it's a false result. We beat Doncaster in the Carabao. Okay, that was fine. It wasn't a great team. 2-2 against Sheffield United, we spoke about last time. Again, I think it's a misnomer result. The 1-0 against Arsenal we played really well. It was a close game. Yeah, Arsenal obviously are Arsenal, so Ola, close your ears. They were...
Yeah. We actually, you know, in the game, they make it difficult for Arsenal to play, which obviously is the plan. If you let Arsenal play, they will hurt you. So if the plan is to stop them from playing, then that's fine. Yeah. Which I think is a bit negative, because that means you've accepted either at a point or try to nick it somehow, some way.
Well, I don't think he actually set out that way. I think obviously you've got to be defensive against it. If you're playing Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, you've got to play that way. Especially, I think, more Man City and Arsenal because the way they play. Yeah. You ain't going to have you've got to accept you ain't going to have more of the ball.
As a base, to start off being, defensively sound and then look to take it.
I don't even think Man City against Arsenal would be banking on having more of the ball. They're probably looking at even, or maybe they might even give the ball up. Liverpool aren't against those two. They're going to give up the ball. No, they're not going to have more than 50% possession because they know that's not their strength. You got to play to your strengths.
Yeah,
I think the stats. Wait a minute, just give me the stats. But it wasn't that bad because you had 13 shots, 4 on target, and we had 8 and 1. I think the bit we fell down was we played quite well, and then they had some chances, and they didn't. The forward play was not very good. Defensively, we were very, very good. The goal was fantastic. It's one of those things you can't really stop from where it was. It was a fantastic finish first time. Trossard. To be honest, when he came on, I thought he was going to score because I was happy with Martinelli there. I was thinking, yeah, and he got injured, and I was like, no, who are they bringing on? Trossard. Okay, he always scores. You're one of those players.
Coming to Merseyside the last 5 years, it's not been a great one for Arsenal.
Not for Arsenal. So
that little 1-0
but we should add the penalty. There was a penalty, and I think if we get that, then I think it'd have been a different result. But yeah, Arsenal obviously a better side, so let's be fair, that's true. But it wasn't that far apart. It was, we stayed in the game most of the way through. But forward play, we were a bit awful. The passing in the final third, we just didn't have. I mean, they had about 2 good runs. One where we should have got the penalty, and one where they messed it up right at the end. But the passing through the middle was really, really good. Yeah. But yeah, it's a defensive game. It was going to be... Arsenal played really well and played hard. So the fact that we stayed in it didn't dishearten me that much.
Yeah.
And the goal wasn't one where... It was a silly mistake where we gave the ball away, but it wasn't a silly... It was just one of those goals. It was
Just,
a good finish.
brilliance from...
It's the individual brilliance. So
which you can't do nothing against.
you can't really do anything against. So let's forget about all those.
Yeah.
Right, Brentford 3-1 away. Brentford a good side. They
good
don't
team.
usually lose at home.
You see that game, I think that might have been the turning point in Everton's season. Because
100%.
ever since that game, the level of the way they play now and the expectation from the fan has gone up slightly, which obviously helped the team as well. Yeah, knowing the fans are rooting for you.
Well, Calvert-Lewin came back, so that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Another thing that surprised
Andy
me
scored, which makes a difference.
Exactly. And also, and then midweek in a cup, he surprised me the strength of the team that he fielded. Because I'm thinking, okay, it's looking like you're going to be battling relegation. Give up the Carabao Cup or whatever it's called. Put in a bunch of kids, lose there, and then...
Well, I think actually, if
concentrate on the
you,
league.
as bad as it is to say, Calvert-Lewin actually played the game as a sub against Brentford. He came on later because Beto started.
Yeah.
So in the League Cup, he'd actually swapped. He put Calvert-Lewin and Beto came on later.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, he was given because they're getting back to fitness. But they had Jack Harrison, who's just come back, I think, for the Carabao Cup game. So it was playing the second players at the moment, but they're all coming back from fitness. And like I said, the results sort of coincide with they've got a few of those players back, like the guy from Burnley, McNeil, wasn't fit. And you could see it in the first few games. He was leggy and not quite himself, but he's got him back and he's just getting back up to full fitness. Harrison from Leeds is a good player, right? He's only known, but he's a good player. He's just getting back. So that was like the Carabao Cup game was his first game. I think he missed this one.
And you got to be careful as well fielding, youngsters in cup games because it's more of a momentum.
I think it's a momentum thing.
They
That's
need
what
a
I'm
momentum.
I was going to say,
let's
all of a
give that
sudden
one
now,
go.
you've won, 2 games in a week. Now you've got Luton. It could
At
be
home.
3 games
Yeah.
in a
They've
week.
got Luton and I think it's at Bournemouth, 2 home games where if they get 6 points, suddenly it's like the whole fans are going to be...
All of a sudden.
I mean, I'm more level-headed. I think it's still
Yeah,
tough season, but...
It's a long way to go.
But Brentford was 18 shots and 6 on target.
Yeah.
And if you had that many shots, there's probably games where we've had more shots than we've had in about like quarter of a season with Benitez or with Thingy. So
really, I'd say
they're picking up on that side. And defensively, I think since Branthwaite's come in, he's sort of settling into it. And they've got Mikalenko back, who's I think he's far better. He's far better defensively than Ashley Young is brilliant to fill in, but and he's probably better going forward.
Is definitely
against Arsenal. He
better
was
choice.
fantastic.
Yeah, it was. And
that was his best. I think that's his best game he's played for Everton.
Yeah, it was absolutely like just tracking everything down.
Yeah.
He didn't let anything. They got past him once, I think. And that was only because he was a bit out of... I think he was covering for somebody else, so he's a bit out of position, but he basically just blocked out. And then Branthwaite behind him was pretty good as well.
Yeah. And the defender as well, the centre-back.
Tarkowski. He's been fantastic
it's quite solid.
Well, the thing Tarkowski lacks is pace. If he had pace, then he'd be England regular all the time. He'd be numero uno defender for England, probably.
He was a good defender. He was a good Premier League defender, solid.
Yeah. Well, the thing he lacks is pace.
Yeah.
But leadership in the air, everything else, he's solid.
Very
He's a man mountain, isn't he?
Yeah. Because in the Arsenal game, there's a couple of times I think one of the players just maybe caught ball watching or something like that, and the defender, and it was absolutely letting him have it. I like that especially defender.
He's I think he's vice captainship, but he's the captain not being a captain. So I think he's added a lot to the game.
Who is Everton captain? Seamus.
Okay. He's injured, isn't it? So when he comes back, there's a bit more. But I think he knows he's back up. And then Villa in the cup, which was a really good game considering what Villa are doing now. We might speak about them in a little bit. So I think that's a good result. So the next, it's like we said before, we've got Luton at home and Bournemouth at home. 6 points and we're fine. Then we've got you guys. So it doesn't really matter then. Okay, Anfield, we don't win, other than Ancelotti. But you never know.
Only Ancelotti, Everton can win at Anfield.
And the Emirates. Unfortunately, I think he's going to Brazil next year. So maybe after we can entice him back. We haven't got any Brazilians at the moment. So because obviously away at Anfield and away at West Ham, difficult games. So I think they need to pick up at least 4 from the next 2 games. But I think maintaining momentum, then it's very rarely we go into Anfield with some momentum. And it's not even the point. It's more don't lose our players.
Yeah.
If we have a fully fit squad by then, like nearly everybody's coming back, I think we'll give you a good game. I think we're going to lose, but we'll give you a good game.
Yeah, it's going to be after an international break as well, so that
gives time
can
for
maybe
to
halt that momentum. You'd have picked up in the previous 2 games.
Well, you've probably got more players going away than us.
I know.
So we hopefully get it. Good. Take them out.
And also, it's going to be one of them half 12 games on a Saturday, straight after international. So
that's going to be...
It's probably going to be rubbish.
No, it will. It'll be a 1-0, scrappy or 0-0 even. It's one of them.
Well, a point there would be good for us, I think. So
a point would be
if we keep a point there,
it'd be
great. A win would be fantastic.
Everton will be going there to get a point.
Exactly.
If we can get a point, if we can upgrade that point 2, 3 in the last minute, fantastic.
You need to calm down. You need to relax yourself.
Listen, if we get a point there, I'm happy.
That's fine. 100%. You know,
0-0 draw all day long. I'm fine. But and then West Ham, tough game, but we won away in the capital, and then Burnley and Brighton. Although Brighton, well, they like playing us at our ground, but normally we do quite well at their ground, so we'll see. And they always want, so that might be a bit tricky. And then Palace, but I think there's enough games there, other than you guys, where we would expect to get points. And then the next one's Man United, but even Man United at home, depending on how their form goes, I'm not that worried about them.
United at home could be a decent fixture.
That could be a good bounce for us. And then we've got Forest away, which is difficult. And then we've got a tough run. We always have around December time because we've got Newcastle at home. But at home, if we start playing properly, we've got a good... If we get the next point, then Chelsea at home, Burnley away, Tottenham away. See, I'm not that worried about any of them. The only one there that obviously is Anfield.
Yeah.
Just because historically we don't do anything. Like I said, if we get a draw there, that would be more than happy.
That'd be a great result.
Newcastle at home, Chelsea at home. We normally get points. I'm not that worried about either of those. If we don't have injuries, Tottenham away, tricky. Burnley, we'll see by how they pick up, isn't it? And then Boxing Day games are always hard. Man City at home. Why?
Man City at home.
Draw, then we'll go for a draw.
I know, but that game though, I think City will be coming back from that World Club Cup thing.
Oh yeah, they've got that this year, haven't they?
That could be they could be tired. They could be. Do you know what I mean?
No. Come on.
You need to try and find some sort of positive from their perspective, innit?
Well, I think if we start to build up our momentum at home, because we've lost home games against teams we shouldn't have really lost, and games we shouldn't have really lost. I think then there's a chance, because normally we did have a period where we were like their bogey side.
Yeah.
And then it's gone down. But again, it depends on injuries. If we got a fully fit squad, I think we give anybody a game. At home,
I think
away, there's a few teams we wouldn't, like you guys, and
you need to go back to being one of them places that people hate going.
Yeah,
because that's always been like the source of.
First of all,
that's the source of our points.
Arsenal don't like going to.
We've got a good record against Chelsea. We got a good record against Arsenal.
I feel as though in the past 2-3 years, it's become an easier place to go to.
Well, I think we haven't had a fully fit squad.
Yeah.
That's where the first few teams have got points.
That's why they've been struggling in the league.
Whereas years gone by, you'd look at Goodson Park, you think, oh God. One of them. Do you need to go back to being one of them?
Well, I think it's when Moyes had it, he had a smaller squad, but they usually kept the players fit.
Yeah.
There's been the spate of injuries, which I don't... And the thing is, you can't really blame a manager because it's been under all of them, even under Ancelotti.
Yeah.
The thing that slowed his momentum was injuries.
Yeah.
And the people got him Hammers. It wasn't even Hammers, it was Coleman. Because the way he played, the system he'd set up, Coleman got injured in it against you guys. We had Hammers got injured. Richarlison got booked and I think injured. And somebody else. We lost like 3 or 4 at the team. Up till that point, we were unbeaten. We had a 100% record in Cups and League. We were top of the league. And that cost us momentum. And I think it's the same here. If they can keep the players fit, there's not much I see there that we can't get points in.
Yeah. Especially on the dice. I thought that's what he was going to do.
He's an expert at
make
those things.
The home games absolutely tough and for everyone to come
Well, the thing is, we've been good. We just didn't score goals.
Yeah.
Realistically, we should be we'd probably be in the bottom of the top half of the table is where we should be on our XG, on our performances, on the stats if you went there. But if they'd have finished. But they missed there's chances. I'd be more worried if we weren't creating chances, which was the issue last year, which was the issue the year before.
I mean, you've conceded 10. That's a bit... I didn't expect that. Because I thought that Dyche team will be a lot
Well,
meaner.
I think it's again. He's trying to work out the centre back pairing, which in the last few games has got tighter because he's got Branthwaite and Tarkowski.
Yeah.
Whereas they had Keane and he was still messing around with it. Although he messed around with it in the week because we had the three at the back with Keane, Tarkowski, and Branthwaite in the Carabao Cup, which worked. And then they had. And mainly in the league has been two. It's Tarkowski and Branthwaite. But I think Branthwaite's his own. I don't know how much you know, but he's sort of growing into it.
Yeah.
But he's a fantastic player if they build him up.
Because
he can be a real.
I think once you sort that out, you could easily finish 10th.
Well, I don't think it's centre back pairing so much. It's been the fullbacks. Because Patterson's been injured. Mikolenko was injured. He's only come back in the last few games. And then suddenly it tightens up. Well, oh, I wonder if this is a coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean, Ashley Young has filled in well and he gives backup experience. And I think Coleman's a little bit away, but if they come back, then they've got a decent cover.
Yeah.
And if they keep Patterson fit and Mikolenko fit, I think they've got that will stay reasonably tight.
I think, in the end, you'll be mid-table, sort of like 12th, 13th.
No, I stick with what we said and been 11th, top of the bottom half.
Yeah, that'll be good. And to be fair,
I think that's an achievement.
From where you've been in the past, 2 seasons, that's it's a good solid season now, isn't it?
Yeah. So anything better than that it means Dyche has done a really amazing job.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably had injuries. I think if we get below 15th, then that's bad. I think he should be probably between about 11th and 13th.
I'd say so.
With the squad.
With what you've got at your disposal, that should be the aim.
Because it's a fairly small squad, so if we allow that we're going to get injuries, I think if we go for that, that's... I mean, obviously you go for the win as many, but I think somewhere in there between 11 and 13, so we're not worried about relegation.
Yeah.
Like if we get the next couple of games sorted, then I don't think we're going to be in a relegation battle.
Yeah.
Unless like they get 6 injuries and then we'll go
exactly.
Which is, but then any team would. So yeah, okay, we've hogged most of the time, right? Chelsea.
Right, where do we start?
Yeah,
God, with Chelsea.
Because if we'd have said at the start of the season we'd be 1 point behind Chelsea, I don't think we'd be expecting to be at 50.
Exactly. Yeah.
Most people would have taken that.
100%. I mean, with Chelsea.
What can I say about Chelsea? They're just embarrassing, isn't it? They spend all those money and I don't even know. Like,
do you think Poch is still trying to get his players?
I don't know. Sometimes I don't understand what that means. Still, listen, if you join in a club that's spending that kind of amount of money, you cannot wait 10 games in or something like that before you start getting result. You can. Chelsea they literally shocking.
But to be fair to Poch, he hasn't spent all that money. I mean, he spent a little bit, but I think that's them just clearing out who's worked, who hasn't.
But
it's been spent before it, isn't it? Yeah. So he's come into a team, and but the thing is also it's relatively young players. I think people forget that. If you buy a seasoned pro who's 26, 27 and Premier League experience,
and
I think most of them have come from outside.
Yeah,
and they haven't actually been that bad playing. It's the same problem though. I think they haven't scored.
It's the goals.
But this is the thing, sometimes it's a mixed match team.
It's not. Well, I don't think they're a team. That's the
right
problem.
Back, the right side of the team can be good, and the left back can be absolutely rubbish.
There's no cohesion yet.
Nothing's coming through the middle, or the up top is not very well, or they're easy to get behind. It's just not.
Shall I give you the goals for and goals against?
Yeah.
Go on.
Goals for Everton, 5. Goals for Chelsea, 5. So the difference between us and them is goals against us is 10,
6,
and they've got 6.
Yeah.
So defensively, not so bad, but the problem, and I think that highlights it, is goals. Because if you look at Brentford, they've scored 9, and they're the next team up we're going to speak about. So if they score 9, they're suddenly +3 and they go way, way, way up that thing.
But the thing with
Chelsea...
the
problem is goal scoring, isn't it?
But
they still haven't bought... he's played in the last game, actually. He scored, didn't he? Jackson. He hasn't been playing, has he, I think? Or?
No, he
has.
He
just hasn't been getting goals.
Oh, he hasn't been getting goals.
He's been playing a league.
He's played every single Premier League games.
It's who they've been buying. And, I mean, they spent, £1 billion in the past however many transfer windows. So in the past year, they've spent £1 billion, but still, they haven't got a centre forward.
I'm just going to put this in. Yeah. So Everton only spent 600 odd million or whatever it was. So over 5 seasons.
Yeah.
See, money, it's not that much money, really.
No.
Go on, carry on.
But that's what I'm saying.
I just throw it in.
With Chelsea, it's the strategy. How do you spend that amount of money and don't really solve your biggest problem, which He's been a centre forward for the past.
Well, for that amount of money, they could have
God,
bought anybody.
Yeah.
They could have bought Mbappe, Haaland, and still had 500 million in the bank. Yeah,
This
so
is the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, listen, I like the Jackson guy. He seems good, but I don't think is it that he's not Premier League ready yet?
He's young. as well,
anything
isn't
yeah,
he?
but
like
I
that.
don't
He's
think any of them
22.
were. I don't think
Yeah,
Mudryk.
something
I don't think Hernandez or whatever it is, the
Enzo.
Argentinian guy, Enzo, or Jackson already. So, but that's where I think they may have done, like, because obviously you're a Poch fan. I think
Yeah.
they may have got him because he's a coach. Better, isn't it? So they're giving all these young players, so they will give them the time.
But they should.
As long as unless they go relegation zone. If they go
should.
down 2, 3 more places.
But then again, it's like if you sack him again, it doesn't make sense. It's,
Yeah.
it's just restarting again, and then you back
I
to
would
where you
I would
started.
keep them and give them the time and just go on it, the basis that they do.
Yeah,
Because
if that's the
I
plan-
get all this point that that's not usually the way they've done it. But I think if I look at what they've done and the players they bought,
Yeah.
I think that might be it's a long-term plan rather than a
Exactly.
short-term thing.
So you can't, scrap
But
it now because it's not
football
going well.
doesn't give
Because
you
either
the results
Bowley's
again.
mad and he spent this money and gone crazy, or
Yeah.
they've got some sort of plan in mind
Exactly.
and they're building
Yeah.
value or something or other.
I think that's what it is.
The
They're trying
ugly
to,
The fans might not like it.
yeah.
That's what I was saying. The ugly truth of football is the fact that you can say it's a project, it's this, it's that. There was a time here that everybody wanted Arteta gone, me included.
I know I had this conversation many times and I told you, wait.
It was just, it doesn't make sense what it was doing.
Yeah.
And that's football fans are ruthless. Yeah, if they're unable to get a result together, football is all about result. If you're not delivering result, no matter what you think, or the next 5 years or 3 years will look like from what you're doing now, it doesn't matter.
But
It does not matter. They will have to get somebody that will get. It's a result. It's a result game.
True.
Simple.
But then for me personally, I've always been one of these people that, look, if you can see which direction the manager's taking you. So for Arteta, you could see that he was
He won the FA Cup, so
Okay.
we love him for that.
Yeah.
And then he had a period of 4 or 5 months that it seems clueless.
because I think it was
Like, what is going on?
it was back-to-back seasons where he was 8-8, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
but that's the thing. That's what I'm saying here. That even though he won a cup,
Yeah.
just upon
I think he only
getting
got the
through
time
door-
because he won the cup, though.
Yeah,
I think if he
that-
hadn't won the cup, I don't think he'd have got the
Oh,
time.
he
But
would've
then
been
he wouldn't have
gone.
been challenging last year. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
But that's
it's
what I'm
his
saying.
magic
Yeah.
that you got to give him a bit of time to.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm
manage.
saying here. That the cup that he won got him to where he is now.
But then I think,
Poch
yeah.
hasn't done that.
No, but
No, but I think
he's
you
only been in
can't
City
blame it
for
on
how
Poch
long?
because Poch isn't the one who brought them to where they are.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he should be fired. I'm
Yeah.
saying football fans are ruthless. If come January or even Christmas, if they are 3 points above relegation, you can bet your bottom dollar now that there will be a banner at the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. I think if they get into the relegation, that's why I said if they get into bottom 5, I think then bottom 4, bottom 5, I think then they'll be in, people asking questions.
I think there's a line, where
But I think if they keep there, because the thing is, if you actually look at the games, the rules aren't that bad because did they play youth first?
we played them,
Yeah,
it
they
was
1-1,
1-1.
So
Yeah.
that was fine. All right,
And then
West
West
Ham,
Ham.
but West Ham, it's a derby and a thing and whatever, and West Ham can be good.
And West
So
Ham are
that's a
playing-
bad result.
West Ham are playing well as well.
But then they 3-0 against Luton. Okay, expected really result. They've got through in the cup. 1-0 against Chelsea, against Forest at home. That's probably
That's a shocker.
yeah.
The Forest and Aston Villa, which is the last Premier League game, those two are the shocker because they lost those two home
Yeah.
games that I would have thought at the beginning of
Well,
the
a
season.
0-0 draw
and I
against
like-
Bournemouth, I think, away. Or it's away, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a shocker, but then it's like you've got Chelsea, Forest at home, you've lost.
Yeah.
Drawn against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And then the 1-0 against Villa. Although Villa are a good side
Villa
and probably
are.
equal competitors if you look at
Yeah,
their
but
recruitment.
are we talking about Villa, a good side that Chelsea should not be?
Well,
able
I think
to
they were
beat
going to play sent off, didn't they? So it was a bit more.
They got a red card, Jan.
But it was about an hour
yeah,
in, so it's not that far. And then
Gusto-
Watkins scored.
Gusto,
So,
whatever.
Gusto, or something. Yeah, Gusto got red card. Yeah,
but I think didn't they? Let's get the stats. They played quite well. No, they didn't really. Yeah, it's about an even game really. So not great. 10-4 and 10 shots and 4 on target. They had
Yeah.
15 and 7.
I mean, I think
But
okay.
but I wouldn't say that's a shocker because you could see either of them winning. Villa can
Yeah.
win against anybody if they turn it on, as we will speak about. And then one. Okay, that's EFL. But I think Chelsea's is the next one because they've got Fulham away, Burnley away, and then they've got Arsenal. So 9 points in the
Out
bag
of them,
there.
out of them 9 points. Oh, I don't know. It's That could be a key period in the season actually for Chelsea, because if it doesn't go well, then questions.
They've got to pick
might
up
start
points in
being
those next 2 games
Yeah.
and go with a little bit. Like you'd expect 4 points there at least, if not 6.
But it's just how they're
But
playing.
4 points and then you go to Arsenal. But the thing is this: if they get a result at home against Arsenal, then suddenly the outlook is
Yeah.
completely different. If they don't get points there, I think then people will start asking questions. I agree with Ola. Then
I don't think they will get a point against Arsenal if they continue to play like this.
How they are at the minute. It's-
No way. Because at that point,
And-
Arsenal would have some of the injury would have
I
come
was
back.
just giving their fans hope. I don't think they're going to get a point either. I think
yeah,
I think Arteta's one of those. He understands derbies and they will get
Yeah.
a point.
Yes.
Unless Chelsea start flying and suddenly click, I think that's a tough game. But I think the 2 games before is really what I was saying. Fulham and Burnley, you would expect them to get at least 4 points. A draw at Arsenal with Arsenal will be a good result for them. Probably not for you, but I think it's a good result for them.
Yeah.
Then they've got Brentford at home again. Brentford are one of those sides, tricky game. But you would expect them to get points at home. And then they've got Tottenham, Man City, and Newcastle, and Brighton, and Man United, and Everton. Jesus, they're not going to any points there.
but this is the thing. I think the games.
Then he might be in trouble
Yeah. No, I think he needs to do well in these games in October.
to get
because
him that
after
little bit of
this
momentum and bounce.
Next block of 4.
Yeah, because this is
That's
gonna
a
be
tough set of
difficult,
games.
isn't it? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
So I might just want to say they might be in the bottom 5
No.
by Christmas.
yeah, by Christmas, yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
Come November, their games are hellish. So,
Yeah, from 6th of November to
Yeah.
the 9th of December.
And
they
I'm also
need to-
joking about Everton. I'm not, because they don't have a good thing at Goodison Park. If we suddenly start bouncing and playing 6 games there that are tough.
Yeah. Especially
Even
the
with their
first,
squad, they're tough.
Yeah.
the first 3. The first 3 is going to be hellish because they're away. The first 2, the 2 out of the 3 is Tottenham away and Newcastle away, and their own games to City.
Yeah.
So if they drop 9 points there,
Yeah.
it's over, isn't it?
Well, but you could be right by
yeah.
Christmas. There could be
Yeah.
inquiries
And
going
you know
on.
what? You know,
They could, but they've got a squad that they could win all those as comfortably
Yeah.
as well. But what's the likelihood, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
the thing. If all those teams are bouncing.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think we've got much time left, but we've still got 3 teams. Fulham, Nottingham Forest, and Brentford.
Let's box them in together.
Yeah.
Fulham.
Well, we've spoken about Forest already.
Yeah.
I think Fulham, Brentford, we've said a little bit about. Brentford are a good side. I think they're safe. They're going to be in that
Yeah.
batch, probably 11 to 15.
Yeah.
I think probably
Palace.
a bit
I think
lower.
Palace will drop. I don't.
Well, Palace are in the next. We're not. It's Fulham and
Oh yeah,
Forest.
sorry, Brentford.
Forest,
sorry.
we've said, I think will go down a bit more.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they've been boosted by that result against Chelsea, which has given them because that one of those wins is there, which really should be a draw or a loss, and then they're down, lower
Yeah.
down. No disrespect to Forest, I love Forest, by the way. If anybody Forest fans,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
won the European, you won the league once, the
Yes.
first division title, and the European Cup twice.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the greatest claim and fame
No, it is.
there is.
Would you expect Fulham, Forest, and Brentford to be exactly where they are,
Where they
at
are.
the end of the
Yeah.
season?
Just
around.
mid-table, safe.
Mid-table,
You know,
safe.
Well, like I said, I think Everton will be 11th. So, yeah, push them down. I think in that 11 to 15, I would expect. Chelsea's the unlikely one there,
Yeah.
I think. Okie
Yeah.
dokie.
and I think, yeah.
All right, guys, see you in the next one. Thank you very much.
problem.
Like, subscribe, comment, and etc., etc.
Share.
Closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.